Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today it is April 27th, Monday, and we are going to be talking about growing strong, healthy hair. Before I get started, I just wanted to remind you we have our Brio Bingo contest going on right now. So make sure you get your bingo card on our Facebook page. And then there's different activities that you can do. When you complete the activity, you can cross that one off. And once you get a straight line in any direction, you can enter to win great prizes. You don't have to finish the entire board, just one line. So I will definitely be doing that after this Facebook Live. Maybe earthing. I'll post that for you and let you know. Okay. All right, if you're online right now, let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. All right, so today you're going to be learning about how you can have stronger hair, less hair loss, less itch and flakes. So I'm going to be teaching you ways that you can help your hair in 3 different ways. So stronger hair, preventing hair loss, and reducing itch and flakes in your scalp so you can have stronger, healthier hair. As we go along here, feel free to ask any questions. I would love to know what you're doing for your healthy hair. Oh, thank you, Dr. Lee. We've got the Brigo card in the comments section. And make sure you, when you do post, you doing your activity on your social media page, make sure you add in hashtag Brio Bingo or Brigo. All right. Okay, so again, stronger hair, less hair loss, and of course, reducing itch and flakes. Those are the things that we're going to cover today. In case you don't know me, I'm Dr. Carin Matsushita. I'm a naturopathic physician and registered acupuncturist at Brio Integrative Health Center. I love to learn new things and find ways to apply them to my everyday life. My friends and family know that I am always looking for ways to improve my daily habits. I know that it's the seemingly small things that we do every single day that have the biggest impact on our health down the road. So I love just finding little small adjustments that I can make to my daily routine. And so I'm always making little adjustments to what I'm eating, the products that I'm using, cleaning products, improving air quality indoors, my sleep and bedtime routine, and of course, what I'm putting on my skin and on my hair. So I don't think that there is, when it comes to hair and hair health, it's not it's not one secret in one specific product. I think it's really the cumulative effect of many small little things that we can do to improve our hair health. So for those of you watching, you know that there's an issue with your hair if you notice more hair in the drain. Or there's more hair left in the hairbrush, maybe on the bathroom floor, even on your pillow in the morning, you can see that more hair. Maybe you've noticed more hair thinning or your hair breaking easier. Maybe you've noticed itching or flaking on your scalp, or even the texture of your hair changing, or maybe the color of your hair changing quickly or prematurely. If you have any of these symptoms, you know that there's something going on with your hair that we might be able to support. But I have a few other questions, because if you don't have those symptoms, sometimes it's not very obvious if there's something going on with your hair. So I want to read a few questions out and see if you have any issues with these. One is, do you have chronic low iron? Do you have chronic digestive issues? That could be gas and bloating after you're eating, or feeling uncomfortable after you've eaten, maybe undigested food in your stool. So that's where you can see your food and recognize your food, like maybe pieces of lettuce in your stools. Do you have problems with your menstrual cycle? That could be irregular periods, acne before your periods or with your periods, or even unwanted hair growth that you've noticed. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, there could also be other underlying issues that's preventing you from growing strong, healthy hair. So those are other things to consider as well. By the way, for hair loss, it is considered normal to lose 25 to even 100 hairs a day, which if you have long hair, 100 long hairs in the drain is a lot of volume of hair. So even though that's considered normal, I think it is important that if you're noticing that it's more than before, that you might want to pay attention to that and see if there's anything that you can do in your daily habits to improve that. All right, so again, what we're going to learn today is how you can have stronger hair, how to prevent hair loss, and then how to reduce the itch and flakes that can come with that dandruff and that kind of thing happening with your scalp. All right. So before I just dive into that, I want to just make sure we review about hair and scalp in general, what it's made out of, where the follicle health is, what determines follicle health, things like that. So first of all, hair. Hair is mostly made out of a keratin protein and lipids. Lipids are fats. So if you look under a microscope at hair, you'll see the outside has these overlapping layers of cells, kind of like fish scales. So all of those things have to be healthy in order to have strong hair that's shiny and flexible. At the base of your hair is your follicle. Your follicles are like many organs that actually respond to hormones, multiple different hormones. It could be thyroid hormone, they could be stress hormone, and we'll talk more about this. But they respond to the hormones and regulate growth of the hair or pigmentation of the hair as well. So hair health is not just about aesthetics. I really think it's an outward indicator of internal health as well. Let me read you one study. I'm going to just quote this study here. Male pattern hair loss, premature graying, and hair thinning were independent predictors of heart disease in young men. And I'll add the reference to that in the summary notes here. But so you can see that hair is a really important indicator of internal issues in our body, and that's for both men and women. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about how you can have stronger hair, how to prevent hair loss, and how to reduce the itch and flakes. If you have any questions so far, please put them in the comments, and I would love to know what you're doing for your hair health on a regular basis. Okay, so let's start with how can we build stronger hair? So I want to start with telling you about traditional Chinese medicine. As you know, I'm an acupuncturist as well. In traditional Chinese medicine, the condition of our hair is actually determined by the condition of both our blood and what we call the kidney system. So let me go over blood first. In traditional Chinese medicine, there could be problems if there's a lot of blood loss or there's issues that are causing deficiencies within the blood. So that could be something like low iron. So blood loss could be coming from maybe if you just had a baby. It's very common to have issues with hair after delivery. So that would be a blood deficiency. So in order to replenish blood, I would recommend eating blood-building foods. So blood-building foods are considered foods that are rich in color. So goji berries, red dates are commonly recommended in traditional Chinese medicine. These are usually found dried in Chinese grocery stores or herb stores. They're kind of an oblong shape of maybe like a grape. Also, other blood-building foods are all red meats. are considered blood building, especially if you can find bone marrow or organ meats like liver. Dark green leafy vegetables are really good for building up the blood. Mushrooms, beets. I am going to write this list down, so don't worry, this will be on the notes. Beets, kelp, and then algae. So again, these are all these kind of dark, colorful, nutrient-rich foods. If you're not familiar with algae, you can find spirulina and chlorella as a supplement that you can just add into what you're eating on a regular basis. I've got my own spirulina here because I wanted to just show you just the color. I don't know if you can see it from there, but you can sort of see that deep green color with that. It's so pretty. In a powder form, you would just put maybe about that much, about a quarter to a half a teaspoon in a smoothie. Generally, the flavor, it's a little bit like low tide, so you might want to add it with something like cocoa powder or something like that. It works really well. It makes everything that beautiful green color. But this is algae is really, really rich in minerals as well as protein. So for hair, it's perfect with the iron and protein mixture. Oh, and this is the one that I'm using right now is the Giddy Yo-Yo brand. I don't know if you can see that. And this one is a powder, but you can find it in a tablet form as well. So if you don't want to put it into food, you could just swallow the tablets. All right, so that's the blood building foods. Any questions so far? Let me know. The next part is the kidney building foods. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys are really the where we store what's called essence or the reserves of our life force. Essentially meaning that if your kidneys are deficient, then there's more aging happening. So we definitely want to keep our kidneys as healthy as possible. Oh, Dr. Vanessa says, your hair looks good. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. I love snacking on red dates and replacing the pit with a walnut. Ooh, that sounds really nice. And so those are dried red dates then with the walnut. Oh, very nice. So that's a great idea. So hair healthy snack that you can bring in with red dates. Okay. The kidney system is associated with the color black. So if you're wanting to nourish the kidney system, we're actually looking for black color foods. What does that mean? So black color food meaning like black beans, black sesame seeds, black berries or mulberries, even molasses. These are all really good for replenishing the kidney system. And replenishing the kidney system means better aging, including for your hair, preventing premature graying. So that's a really important part. If you feel like there's some premature graying happening, you might want to look into just seeing if you can get some more black beans into your diet or mulberries and blackberries into your diet as we get more and more into that season. And lastly, for strong hair, I mentioned protein already, but one of the things that we really want to make sure of to make sure we actually digest and absorb protein and all of these minerals that we're getting with these nutrient-rich foods is really strong stomach acid. That is so important for so many different reasons, but that's stomach acid we've talked about before, but this is critical for making sure you actually absorb the nutrients in your food. And there are multiple different ways of supporting stomach acid. Maybe one of the most important is just making sure that we're more relaxed and not rushing when we're eating a meal. Maybe taking a few breaths before you eat. Or you can also use bitters. I've got my bitters here. The one that I'm currently using is just called Bitter Tonic. But what's in here, this is just a tincture of herbs, main herb being gentian. So you can see it's kind of like a dark herb in there. And you can, I tend to just put this straight into my mouth, but you can put it in just about a little bit of water and just drink that before your meals, and that will help to strengthen your stomach acid. I've got a question here. Will these same foods help to improve nail health too? Yeah, good question. Yes, oftentimes that's true. You're absolutely right. There is a big connection between nail and hair health. A lot of the same sorts of proteins involved there, particularly because your hair can really indicate how well your digestion is actually breaking down and absorbing the minerals that we absolutely need for good hair and for healthy nails. Thanks for your question. That's a good one. Okay, so again, with stomach acid, it really needs to be nice and strong to make sure that your hair is healthy as well as your nails. So for just to go over the strong hair, for building stronger hair, blood building foods, a lot of those red foods that we were talking about before, but also things like algae. Second, kidney supportive foods. So those are those black foods, black beans, black sesame seeds, molasses. And then lastly, supporting stomach acid is so important for this, for stronger hair. I have definitely noticed in my life when my digestion was off, I had more hair loss and hair breakage. So this is a really important point. Okay, secondly, now we're going to be talking more about hair loss. And I'm going to pivot a little bit with hair loss. I'm going to be focusing more on follicle health now. We mentioned follicles before. Follicles, of course, at the base of your hair. These follicles are sensitive to hormones. So these hormones, they could be thyroid hormone, could be stress hormone, and then this other one I'm going to introduce called androgens. This androgens is a class of hormones that includes testosterone, but also one that's called DHT or dihydrotestosterone. Some people call it the bad testosterone. It's not necessarily, but an imbalance certainly can cause some issues. So androgens are something that's really important to look at. And androgens are really important for both men and women, actually. For women, we're making these androgens in both the adrenal glands and the ovaries. The androgens is something that we often talk about in patients with PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. This is a syndrome where we often see high androgens, and that can be an underlying issue causing hair loss, as well as unwanted hair growth, unfortunately, and then causing irregularities in cycles and periods. In a lot of these cases, I've found that high androgens can be balanced with balancing insulin or with balancing sugar. So following a blood sugar friendly diet can be super helpful for this. So if you know that androgens are an issue for you, definitely see if there's anything you can do to improve blood sugar balancing. That's for anybody with PCOS or without. I've certainly seen androgens causing issues for hair loss in women without PCOS. Another one that's really interesting now that there's 2 studies on this, but I'll quote the second one, is on spearmint tea, something that maybe a lot of us already have in our cupboards. One study showed that spearmint tea has had an anti-androgen effect on women with PCOS. And that was only after 30 days of drinking 2 cups of this tea a day. Anti-androgen effects, and the women actually reported improved symptoms as well. And that's only after 30 days. So I suspect with the hair growth and follicle cycle actually being more like 3 months, that after 3 months it would actually have a greater effect. We don't know that yet, but I suspect that. But what a simple way to improve your hormone levels with spearmint tea. Green tea also has an anti-androgen effect as well, so that's another option too. The The third thing I wanted to talk about, besides the blood sugar-friendly diet and spearmint tea, is castor oil. And we've mentioned this before. Dr. Nito has talked about castor oil packs, which are amazing and incredible. But castor oil topically can also be used for hair health. And there's a couple different benefits there. Castor oil, when it's applied on the scalp, can help with improving circulation to the follicles. And what it does topically is actually increases the amount of nitric oxide. And that nitric oxide actually helps our blood vessels expand. And so more circulation could go into the area. So it would make sense if you actually put castor oil on our scalp, that there would be better circulation to our follicles. On top of that, actually, castor oil also has polyphenols and omega oils, so they can be really helpful for conditioning the hair as well, not just the follicles, but the rest of the hair too. I don't know if any of you have tried using castor oil in your hair. Let me know if you have. I'd love to know what your experience is. I have over the years tried to figure out how to use castor oil with my hair. Castor oil is really, really sticky. So it's a little bit tricky sometimes to use. However, recently I've mixed the castor oil with jojoba oil. That's Jojoba, jojoba oil. Mostly castor oil, a little bit of jojoba oil. And I've applied that. I've got it here actually, right here. You can almost see the separation in there, but there's the castor oil, I think you could see that actually on the bottom, and the jojoba is a little bit yellower on top. But I've mixed those two together, and that seems to keep the stickiness down, and it makes it easier for me to get that into my hair. And what I generally do is just take, maybe part my hair, this kind of thing, put a few drops in, and then go 1 inch higher, part a few drops in, and rub it in. So mostly applying to my scalp. And once I get most of my scalp, then I just kind of rub it through and then rub it through the rest of my hair. So when I do that, it's definitely not dripping with lots of oil. I actually just loosely tie my hair up and I sleep like that. And I've never had any issues with staining the pillowcase or anything like that. Certainly if it's your first time, I would definitely put an old t-shirt on your pillow or something like that to make sure, but it's not been an issue for me, and it's comfortable. And it's felt really nice for the conditioning on my hair. But also I've actually found it really comfortable for my scalp. Maybe I'll talk about that more in the next section here. But that jojoba and the castor oil combo seems to be a good one for me. I'm hoping in the near future to actually add to my little mixture here some essential oil of rosemary, as a study showed that rosemary oil topically can be similar to Rogaine in terms of the hair growth. This is after 6 months of use, which is pretty impressive, I think, for something just rosemary. So that's something that I'll let you know how that goes. Just as a side note, more with castor oil is I'm also going to be getting a eye mask that can be used with castor oil, to kind of like a castor oil pack for my eyes. So that should be kind of fun, and I'll let you know how that goes as well. So for preventing hair loss, definitely want to be looking at follicle health. So can we improve the hormone levels with blood sugar friendly diet, with spearmint tea, and then improving the circulation with castor oil and maybe jojoba oil combined. All right, and then last part here, I want to give you some tools on how you can help to reduce itch or flakes from the scalp. That could be coming from dandruff or cradle cap, which is basically the same thing in children or in infants. It's called seborrheic dermatitis. What's happening with that is there's actually an overgrowth of the normally occurring fungus in our scalp. That fungus is called Malassezia furfur. or fur, I should say. But this fungus is lipid dependent, meaning it's actually depends on the oils that our skin produces, our sebaceous glands makes. So, couple things with that. We want to just make sure that we're doing what we can to balance our microbial balance, making sure that there isn't too much fungus growing, but also making sure that we're balancing out our oil on our scalp, the production of oil in our scalp. So if dandruff has been an issue for you for a while, I would recommend looking at seeing if there's a gut fungal overgrowth. I often see those two things in combination, especially if you've got other signs. You may have things like fungal skin infections, ringworm, or you've been told you have athlete's foot or jock itch, or have recurrent vaginal yeast infections. These are all hints that there might be a fungal overgrowth in your gut as well, and that's popping up in different places. So even when you use a topical antifungal or an anti-dandruff shampoo, for example, that over some time it pops back out again. So addressing that gut fungal overgrowth can help to actually address some of the topical issues as well, or skin issues as well. A couple ways of doing this, because this is probably a whole masterclass on this one too. But when it comes to fungal overgrowth in the gut, number one, addressing weak stomach acid. We come back to that over and over again. It's such an important one. Also, making sure that you're addressing that gut flora in multiple different ways. So probiotics can be helpful, but I've found that sometimes that's not enough, depending on what else is going on there. And making sure that your diet is supporting a reduction in fungal growth in the gut as well. And then, of course, remembering that that fungus is dependent on the oils in your scalp. So if you've got that tendency to sort of a greasy scalp or oily scalp, and you notice, if you don't wash your hair for a day, it gets itchy and oily. That's something we want to balance out as well. That was definitely me. I grew up washing my hair every day. So when I wanted to start to reduce my exposure to shampoos and just allow my the scalp oil balance to be better and avoid drying out my hair with washing so much, I definitely had a hard time skipping a day or two without washing because my scalp felt greasy and oily. And I found that the jojoba oil, likely it's the jojoba oil, but that combination with the jojoba and the castor oil together is really helpful for that. When I do that 2 or 3 times overnight in a week to condition my hair, that actually has improved the oil balance of my scalp as well. So now if I skip a day of washing my hair, even without using dry shampoo or anything like that, it feels much more comfortable. So that's another way to help with that fungal overgrowth that's there. In terms of another topical solution, I'll show you one of these. This is probably my favorite shampoo for itch and flakiness. A lot of people have used tea tree on their scalp. Oh, sorry, I keep moving it around. The brand is Maple Holistics, and the product is called Tea Tree Special Formula Shampoo, which you can just get online. I found this to be much more effective than other antifungal shampoos, or even actually using tea tree oil in a carrier oil on the scalp. That also takes a long time. This is much simpler. Just use it as a shampoo. Just keep it on for a few minutes before you rinse it off. I found this really helpful. This is also non-toxic, so you can use it as your sort of everyday shampoo, but I also find you don't need to. You could just use it for a week or two, and then just after that, use it as you need it, once a week or once a month. So I found that to be a really helpful one. Are there any questions before I just kind of go through a little bit of a summary? Let me know. So for reducing itch and flakes, we want to be thinking about that fungal overgrowth, particularly the oil balance on the scalp. So see if there's any potential gut fungal overgrowth to look at. Coconut oil can be really helpful as an antifungal to your gut. MCT oil, specifically C8 or caprylic acid, is really helpful as an antifungal as well. And of course, we also use antimicrobial herbs. And then doing something like a tea tree shampoo or oils topically to help with the oil balance. So I talked about a lot of things, so I just want to quickly summarize some of these. Talking about building stronger hair, we talked about blood building foods like red dates, algae, spirulina. We talked about kidney supportive foods. So those are those black ones: mulberry, blackberries, black sesame seeds, molasses. And then, of course, supporting stomach acid, so important for so many reasons, particularly with building stronger hair, absorbing all those really important proteins and minerals. Second, preventing hair loss. So we're thinking about really good follicle health for this, particularly androgens. Being following a blood sugar friendly diet can help with improving your androgen levels. Drinking spearmint tea or green tea, and then doing a castor oil jojoba topical can be helpful as well for both the follicle circulation as well as for conditioning the hair. That's something that for conditioning I just do, one, 2, 3 times in a week, just occasionally. And then lastly, reducing the itch and flakiness and of dandruff or seborrheic dermatitis, looking at fungal overgrowth, and tea tree shampoo. So I hope that was helpful in giving you a few tools to address a few of the most common issues that I see. Do let me know if you have any questions that have come up or have used any casserole or have other products that you really love. I'd love to know about them. We will continue to be back here doing our Facebook Lives between Monday and Friday. So I hope to see you here again soon. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.